People feel anxious, and your anxiety isn't necessarily a disorder, yet it is your nervous system's perfectly sane response to an absolutely insane world when it comes to the nightly news and everything that's projected towards us. Here's the thing: anxiety is deeply tied to disordered time orientation. What do I mean by that? Well, it fragments the mind across past, present, and future, and it's very specific, and it has predictable patterns as well. Some people can't handle uncertainty. They don't like it because where uncertainty is, a loss of control is, or a fear of loss of control. When it comes to the past, we can see that anxiety is rooted in memories. Now, what happened before that hurt me? What did I do wrong back then? What did they think of me then? And the anxious mind just plays out all these failures, all these traumas, all these missed signals. And you know what? It over personalizes or even distorts the hell out of it. And we all have these little anxious narrative stories. But when it comes to the present, you could have distorted perceptions in the present. Am I safe now? Am I being judged right now? What if I mess up this moment? What will everybody think of me? The anxious present is hypervigilant. It's scanning for threat. It needs threat. It looks for threat. It's interpreting these neutral situations as dangerous. The body becomes tense. The breath is pure trash. And like I've always said to people, if you're feeling anxiety and you're not breathing to full lung capacity, then you're obviously doing something wrong. Now, you might be wondering, why am I saying doing something wrong? Because your breath has a massive impact on the way the mind actually works. And people that are shallow breathers, when you don't breathe to full lung capacity, it's going to have an impact on you. When it comes to the future, yeah, that's a fun one, right? What if I fail? The what if game. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if no one likes me? What if it never gets better? What if they don't book me again? This is an anxious, imagined future loop of just worst case scenario rehashed over and over again like a broken damn record, preparing for pain that hasn't even actually occurred. But here's the solution. I've got to give you a solution, and I'm going to give you probably by far one of the best solutions that I could ever give you. Curiosity is your reset. Rewiring your stress is all about exploratory thinking. Stress doesn't announce itself like panic knocking at your front door of your house, although sometimes it can, but sometimes it shows up in the quiet tension behind your eyes, in the short temper you have with people that you actually love and care about, or the pressure to try to fix or repair something in the future that you haven't gotten to, or you haven't even named it yet. So what if the answer isn't a quick, fast solution, but more of a slower question? What if you could reset your nervous system by choosing to explore instead of to defend and constantly push and shove and force your way through things? Stress and curiosity cannot coexist. And I give you the power today to actually choose one. Because here's the neurological truth. The neurological truth is that your brain cannot stay fully stressed and fully curious at the same time. Not performatively curious. I'm talking about genuinely open-ended. The I don't know yet curious, but we're going to find out. When your brain enters into that point, when you enter that mindset, the grip of fear starts to settle down and to loosen. And the brain stops bracing and starts breathing. And more importantly, it starts to notice things, it starts to see things. What I love about curiosity is that it allows you to see things that you ordinarily couldn't see. Because what fear actually does is it narrows your point of view. I don't want to choose that. Why? Because I'm afraid. It's kind of like being in front of 10 doors and you know that there's some pain beyond some of the doors, but you really don't know which door to actually go through. So what do? You actually try to Google your way out of it. Let me look up the multiple doors and see if I can find multiple solutions to it. But you're going to have these doors, and each door is going to have a different experience. And sometimes you'll have neutral doors, that they're not always good or bad. We have that tendency to throw extremes there. And you're going to have some neutrality, which is not bad. And curiosity is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. When you can step into curiosity and say, let's see what this door actually brings. And your brain might say, but what if that's the wrong door? Well, if it is the wrong door, there are experiences to actually be gained through going through that door. In other words, just because it's the wrong door doesn't mean you don't get some insight, some wisdom from it. In other words, when we try to have the perfect door, the perfect situation, the perfect direction, you're ignoring the wisdom. You're ignoring the insights that are actually possible. And here's the thing, you can reset your nervous system just by choosing to explore instead of defending. And when you ask those questions, if you slow down a little bit and you ask those questions, what if we go into this room and we could explore it a little bit more to find the solution that we're actually working with? What can we grab out of this door? What's beyond this door that I could explore and dig deeper? It's kind of like having an orange in the palm of your hand. It's like you can choose to just squeeze a little juice from it, or you could smash that thing for all it's worth and take all the juice that's possible from it. So it's like when you make a decision and you move through these doors that you're completely unaware of, you can live fully. You can become curious and live fully and experience everything that is beyond that door. I really don't think we were designed as human beings to actually just live in constant anxiety all the time. The neurological truth is that your brain can't stay fully stressed and fully curious at the same time. So we have to be able to slow down, stop bracing, and take some deep breaths. Curiosity is the antidote to your stress. And if you are stressed all the time, you could understand that there is a point of no return. The Yerkes-Dodson law, which is a law that Harvard came up with in regards to stress, is that there is a point of no return. There is a healthy amount of stress. In other words, there is a healthy amount of anxiety and there is a healthy amount of stress, and you can build that resilience, but there is a point of no return. And the way we saw that point of no return was actually COVID-19. COVID-19, we actually saw the point of no return, that people's stress levels got so bad, that it went off the charts. And what happens is when the stress levels go beyond that point of return, what happens is performance will drop. So any type of performance will drop. But for some people, their anxiety level is really low, their tolerance. And it's all about tolerance because there is acceptable amounts of anxiety. And anxiety has become a word that, can't have that, can't have any of that. It's become this scarlet letter. But we're not realizing that resilience is connected to that anxiety. So we have to have curiosity. It is the antidote to stress. So think of the stress as the closed hallway with no doors at all, right? Curiosity doesn't kick down the walls. It finds a hidden latch somewhere. It takes the time to explore. It's not about calming down. It's about redirecting your attention towards what if we do this here. So the what if word is the worst piece of self-talk ever. And if you use it, tear it right out of your vocabulary. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I die? And I've seen the what if phrase in the martial arts circles for years. Like I literally had somebody say in a combat seminar, like, well, what if I'm barefoot? I'm like, oh, okay, you're going to be at the beach and you're going to be in a fight? Is that where we're going? Well, what if he has a chainsaw? Okay, now you're speaking from fear. Every fourth word was what if, right? And it happens a lot. And what starts to happen is that what if puts you in the future all the time. But we have to start looking at what is and get curious. So when we look at what if and it's future based, it's going to put you in that fear. But if we start to move the what if towards curiosity, like becoming a scientist, like what if I change this up? For example, I'm an actor and maybe I'm stressing about a particular part and say, well, what if I just adjust a few things here? What if I tweak the script? What if I put it in my own words? So when you move the what if phrase to the exploratory aspect, you can put yourself in a position of strength rather than absolute fear. You also redirect your attention. Just try this. Picture something you're stressing out about and just ask yourself, what don't I know about this yet? What don't I know about this yet? And where can I maybe find out or learn about it? Neurologically, this opens up and reopens up the prefrontal cortex. That is the part of your brain that's going to bring you back online and help you out. Curiosity diffuses defensiveness. When we're defensive, we're not calm, we're armored up. And curiosity lets us stay connected without collapsing or even controlling. So if you're having an argument with somebody, we're not talking about a direct attack here, where they're like deliberately trying to hurt you or attack you. We're not talking about that. But we are talking about maybe a disagreement. You're having some kind of disagreement. Sometimes being curious allows you to bridge the gap gap between confusion and understanding. So that's where it gets really important. Curiosity lets us stay connected without collapsing, without trying to control everything. If someone is coming at you with the aggression, you can say, hey, that's interesting. What makes you say that? What makes you take your thought process in that direction? And you start to really see people for who they are. You start to uncover a lot of things. You start to uncover a great deal of information. You know, what did you experience that actually led you to that conclusion? That's a nice question. What did you experience that actually led you to that? Helps people understand. Now, you're not submitting to somebody in an aggressive argument, okay? You're redirecting the heat into clarity and you're bridging the gap. That's what that's about. I'm a former Massachusetts State mediator. So, in terms of mediation and bridging the gap, I'm no stranger to it. And curiosity was a major tool when it came down to certain disagreements between certain people. Now, let me tell you, if you're a mediator, there is no bias. You can't choose sides. You get fired from your position quickly. So, curiosity can diffuse and exploratory thinking. When we start to use what if in an exploratory context, it replaces the reactive fixing. Like, I have to constantly fix this or fix that or react to this, react to that. Stress tricks us into urgency, and we've gotten so used to it. We fall into autopilot. It says, fix it now or I'll suffer, you know, and it does reflect towards control. And there's going to be a level of uncertainty in this world, and there's going to be a level of uncertainty that you have to accept. There is truth deep inside the unfolding of things. In other words, you're not going to understand when and how things unfold, but there's truth that can be found in the calm, in that objectivity, in that curiosity. There's truth that can be found. So when we approach a problem with curiosity, we get access to ideas that we could not see under pressure. That's the beauty of it. So instead of asking the question of how do I make this stop? I don't like this. Ask yourself, what am I missing here? What could I do that could energize me in the right direction? What result would feel true, not just fast? And here's what I want to share with you. There are practical reset tools, and curiosity is one of them. And using what if in the exploratory context is going to help you. The 15 unknown methods, there is a method called the 15 unknowns. So when you're spiraling in stress, what you can actually do is write down the thing that's messing with your peace. Then list 15 things that you don't know about it: personal, relational, physical, emotional, historical. We know that some level of fear is there for survival, but what's happened is we're so used to becoming anxious that we ignore a real signal of real fear versus imagined perceptual fear. And that's the thing, is that we can't tell the sharks from the guppies when it comes to perceived fear and real absolute fear. You know, real threat versus perceived threat. So when you practice the 15 unknowns, you list those 15 things that you don't know about, and you're going to get them on paper. Info dump. Turn each one of these into a how or a what question. And how and what questions are amazing for your self-talk in terms of anxiety and being anxious. Curiosity is literally the bridge to healing. It's the bridge to healing your relationships, and it's the bridge to healing yourself as well. So let me tell you something. You know, for years, I've carried a lot of tension around in relationships with somebody who deeply hurt me, you know, and I thought that anger and distance was a strength, and quite honestly, it wasn't there. Healing didn't begin with forgiveness, okay? Healing didn't begin with forgiveness. It began with a question, you know, what happened to them? You know, what happened to them? What kind of person can I become? What kind of person are they that they've gone through something that made them see the world this way? So the question really didn't excuse pain. It just unlocked something. It doesn't admonish behavior. That's the thing. It doesn't justify a behavior, but it can certainly help you understand. And when you understand things better, you can actually proceed better. It's about how we proceed, how we show up. So you can ask yourself, like, what happened to that person before they ever connected to you in your life? Right? What did they go through? And when I started to realize that people are literally a function of their experience, they act from their own reality. It made healing possible. It moved me out of protection, and it moved me towards objectivity and perception. And you know what? You can reset yourself. Now, I want to give you the stages stages of the reset process for yourself. So if you are a type of person to write things down, now's a good time to actually do it. First off, when you are feeling that anxiousness, step back, create some space, breathe deep, inhale, create space emotionally, physically, mentally, all of the above. Get curious internally and physically. Ask yourself what and how questions. What can I do here? How can I get from point A to point B? If there's boundaries, set the boundaries, but also let curiosity in. You can ask curiosity questions of what and how. Another thing that's helpful is you could take a look at your patterns and start tracing them a little bit. Don't be afraid to dump them on a sheet of paper and really try to understand where you're coming from. And let curiosity go into compassion. Compassion is the opposite of judgment, and objectivity is connected to compassion. So let curiosity become that very compassion. Now, the pitfalls that you actually want to avoid is curiosity cannot be manipulation. If you're pretending to be curious just to eliminate stress, it's going to backfire. That's not curiosity. That's just control in disguise. I want to get that very clear. Don't skip the honest questions and don't skip the honest emotions. Like, how can I do this? What can I do here? How can I do here? If you are feeling anger, resistance, avoidance, you understand that they're part of the path. Honor your feelings, learn to sit within them. And then when it's time, ask that what and how question. Ask better quality questions, you get better quality answers. I learned that from Tony Robbins a very long time ago, going on 23 years. So, in short, you don't have to solve your life today, but you can explore one part of it with presence, being there, inhaling, breathing, being there fully, by giving yourself permission to explore, by giving yourself curiosity to say, not what if this negative thing happens, but what if I tinker with this idea? What if I move in this direction in a functional way? Because that shift, that curiosity shift, it's not just emotional, it's neurological when you shift into curiosity. And you know what? It could as well be a reset button that your body has been absolutely begging for you to press. Once again, this is Mario Di Leone, Voices of Victory podcast. I am your host. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, and I only want you to give this to people who actually need it. Okay, if you're just sending out for the sake of sending it out, no. Give it to the people who actually can benefit. And I'm going to sip my coffee and say farewell.